Bienvenue, Welcome, Felcha, Hella, Vokoso. Whether in French, Norwegian, Gaelic, Yiddish, or Japanese, nearly every language, maybe every language, I'm not sure, has a way of saying welcome, a word that comes from the Old English words for pleasure and to come. The idea being that there is pleasure in coming together, whether to accept a stranger into our home, to celebrate an important milestone, or to signal the start of an event. But coming together and the pleasure we take from it is under attack these days. It has been for 2 years. And that's no small thing. When our governments lock us down, mandate us, they don't just restrict our freedom of movement. They limit our ability to exchange ideas and to practice our humanity as we do so. In gathering together, we learn how to be respectful, empathetic, and curious, how to criticize an idea without hating the person who delivers it. Can you imagine? A novel idea. And how to ask good questions and then listen openly for answers. The outcomes are often unexpected, which is exactly how it should be. When was the last time you had a conversation where you made it very clear that the other person's ideas are sacred, that you will treat them as such, and that your life might be improved by hearing them? It's such a simple skill, but one that's bordering on extinction, I fear. Conversations with your family at the dinner table, a friend over coffee, or dare I say, lively public debate require and create a more courageous conversation. And they demand humility and a willingness to be vulnerable. Over the last 2 years, mandates have not just been about preventing the transmission of a virus, but preventing the gathering of people who might discuss ideas that are an ideological threat to the narrative. 1 month ago, our Prime Minister invoked the Emergencies Act not because of the threat of physical violence, but because the expression of what he called unacceptable views was considered violence itself. 1 month ago, our country almost fell apart, and then it all just went away as though nothing of significance happened, leaving a surreal, eerie kind of vacuum in its place. I think that maybe many of you here today, feel a sense of relief that this is the calm after a terrifying storm. But I think it's much more likely to be the calm between 2 storms, or perhaps a calm before a superstorm. There are currently 5 bills, including C-10 and C-36, in play that aim to limit freedom of expression, ushering us into a new era of censored thought and speech, and quite likely the most severe restrictions of civil liberties that our country has ever known. An era in which our charter right to freedom of expression will be protected only if we express the right ideas. Use it or lose it, they say. It is more important than ever to do what we can while we can to keep these ideas flowing and the channels of communication open, and to practice the art of conversation. The 19th century utilitarian philosopher John Stuart Mill warned us about the harms of censorship. He wrote, "The peculiar evil of silencing the expression of an opinion is that it robs the human race. If the opinion is right, they are deprived of the opportunity of exchanging error for truth. If wrong, they lose the clearer perception of truth produced by its collision with error." He wrote that in On Liberty in 1859, and it just seems like it rings so true today. This is why organizations like the Democracy Fund and evenings like this are just so incredibly important. The mandate of the TDF is pretty simple. We think our Constitution and our Charter in particular matter. Though our governments and mainstream media are treating them like just a suggestion or a relic of the past, we believe they are essential to who we are. They outline our obligations to one another, and they can't be obliterated by one act of government at one moment in history. But to keep these documents alive, we have to keep their values, and we have to live their values every day. At TDF, we're doing this in a number of different ways. We're trying to advance public education by conducting interviews and writing, and we're establishing a student journalism conference. We're defending people's rights legally. Just this week, one of our lawyers is in court in Ottawa defending the rights of peaceful protesters the rights that were violated during the convoy protests. And by publishing a book, oh, this is the shameless plug time. but you know, in all seriousness, when I was writing this book, I felt a bit like I was doing something naughty. I've never felt that in my life, like writing something or saying something was wrong, that it was illegal. And I certainly don't want to stand by while we create a world in which that or worse is what our children will be living with. You know? And the Democracy Fund has created a space where it's possible to support work like that. We've sent this book to people all over the world. I've sent it to someone in Norway and people in Australia, and it's just amazing to me that we're still able to do that. We're still able to fight and make the exchange of ideas possible. And then, of course, we host events like this where we're able to talk about ideas, and in a space where we're able to create the freedom to have conversations, where we exchange ideas that are so much more important than the particular things we say. The fact that we respect each other and stay with the conversation, even when we disagree.